Hey, welcome to this episode of the Spiritual Awakening Annual YouTube Summit and podcast with me, Iona. I'm your host at the Soul Legacy TV, and I've brought together today another special guest, continuing on the summit, sharing a spiritual awakening story, Elona. So, Elona, thank you for joining us. Welcome to this episode.
Thank you so much, Iona. I'm looking forward to having a great conversation with you, and we have great energy alignment, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So, Elona, say I'll try and say your surname. Is it Lopari?
Lopari.
Lopari? Nearly. I thought I'd try. Lopari. So welcome. So thank you again for bringing your energy to the summit. And I usually explain what kind of connection that we've had and with each of and every single one of my guests. And so our connection is new, right? But the energy, we met in a Facebook group and we were like, when I saw you, I was like, oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like, will you come on? And we said, our audience would resonate. So I'm really excited to bring your energy and what you share and your books and your work and different things. So as we dive into this episode of sharing your spiritual awakening story, and we share your journey, before we do that, can you just share what it is that you do and who it is that you do it for?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do is I help purpose-driven entrepreneurs and CEOs build a legacy company that aligns their purpose with their profit through branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team, so they can do more good in the world.
I love that. So I'm the founder of the Soul Legacy Academy, right? So you can see, and I talk about soul purpose all of the time. And one of the things that I love about what you do and what we do is we bring a similar energy to the world, but we bring it in a different way. And I think that when you do collaborate and you do have those conversations, we do resonate at the same frequency, and it makes it more powerful to learn from each other. And so I just love that. I just wanted to say that, because when people hear and they go, well, you do something similar to what I do, great. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same. It's great. And that means that whatever we've been through along this journey, it's probably that we've been through similar. So we've come to the truth, right? We've come to the truth. So I love
Yeah,
that.
I love that as well, and I believe in collaboration and not competition because we all are very unique individuals and we have a unique life path and purpose. So there is no need to compare or to kind of compete. I think we can add so much more to the table by collaborating, and we all come with a unique set of values, unique set of life experiences. Even though we might be focused on similar topics, it just connects us better if we have similarity in other things as well. So that's
Yeah.
how I think about things.
Yeah, and we want to just hang out, so I love this. So let's kick off this conversation of sharing your spiritual awakening story in the spiritual awakening on your YouTube summit. And for those of you who are new, and welcome. So if you let me pull up and see if I can pull up some comments. So if you are watching us live, which I can see that somebody's on, then do add your energy to this conversation. We would love it. Ask Elona any questions on the replay. We will come back, because that's why we're doing it live. And do share this out. So I'm sure I'm getting feedback, but I don't know where from. So hopefully we'll be good on the replay. All right. So, and let us know if there is any feedback, and then we can try and deal with that. So can you share your first spiritual awakening, when you remember that, whether that's in adulthood or childhood, and how that's unfolded for you, Elona?
Yeah, I mean, when you ask me that question, two things come to mind, two meaningful moments in my life. One, when I was very little, as a child, and I would be very defiant, I guess I should say, to my parents, to, my friends or people around me, because I just felt like everybody wanted to fit me in a certain box and they were telling me what to do and how to do it. And I just remember fighting as a child over that. And I was always that person that wanted to do things differently, wanted to do them my way, even though I made mistakes that were my mistakes. I want to have my experience. So I was very curious early on. So that's the first, I guess, moment that I remember. And then the other one was over 7 years ago, where I guess I pivoted from what I was doing for 13 years, climbing the corporate ladder, achieving the American dream, because I migrated to New York when I was 20, when I was 15 with my parents. So, immigrant, story with that from natively Albania, and I've seen obviously they wanted the best for me. They wanted me to get a job and grow my career here. Obviously, that's most of our parents' dream, and I did that. I climbed the corporate ladder. I was pretty successful on the outside, but I was very miserable on the inside. So that's where my next, I guess, catalyst happened when I
Mhm.
was feeling a lot of anxiety in my life. I was no longer fulfilled by the work I was doing with them. The company happened to actually be acquired by another company. I had a lot of personal stuff also going on, a lot of inner conflicts, so to
Mhm.
speak, where rationally I was like, what is going on with me? I'm supposed to be happy. I have all the stuff that they told me would make me happy.
Success.
But, on the inside, I wasn't, because I had all this inner conflicts. I wasn't happy. So that's where I started my journey, actually, spiritual journey, to kind of hire my first mentors, get started with my first couple of podcasts. I started looking for information
Mhm.
that I, needed to kind of understand how to navigate all this, inner conflict that I was feeling, all this unhappiness, unfulfillment that I was feeling on the inside. So that's really where I guess the journey of spiritual awakening started for me. And I was exposed to personal development and people that were teaching all different topics. I hired a mentor and all that stuff. I think that's the best investment I made very early on. And then
Mhm.
once I kind of, had someone kind of help me navigate what that next path was going to look like for me, that's where entrepreneurship showed up. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I thought I would fit within kind of the society's go to school, get your college degree, and get a job, retire, and that's it. That's the
Yeah,
cycle.
yeah,
But yeah, that was my inner. Oh, and I didn't actually mention that I would hear within that crazy conflict time that I was going through
yeah,
my inner voice, my intuition, which was a very tiny whisper because I didn't always know how to tap into it. Now I know what it was. Back
yeah,
then, I'm like, why am I always like hearing something that I'm no longer aligned with this thing that I'm doing? And I
yeah.
need to be figuring out what that next step is. So
Mhm.
I started hearing a lot of that also.
Thank you so much. You've shared a lot to unpack, and I want to go back and forth between some of the things that you said. So the first one, that like when you were younger, I want to do what I want to do, and I want to do it my way, even if I make mistakes. And I think that a lot of us do feel like that, like trying to be molded, and it just doesn't. As light workers and spiritual entrepreneurs, we just felt different from a very early age. How old were you then when you felt that, like people
Yeah.
trying to put you in a box?
I believe the first time I was aware about it was around maybe 11, 10, 11, that age when I was still in elementary school. I don't
Yeah.
think I can remember anything earlier, but yeah.
Than that. Thank you for sharing that, because what part of this journey is to understand and unfold and look back and connect those dots and what those things were telling us. And obviously, you're the CEO of the Life School, so it's like, okay, I get to create the life that I actually want. So that started the seeds early on by choosing, because we are told and conditioned for well-meaning, friends, family, whoever's around us and raising us, that this is the life that I see for you. This is the life that I saw for myself. This is the life, the patterns in the generation follow that path. And it doesn't always feel good, and especially when you are going on that awakening journey. So you mentioned the corporate, you followed that. And part of what I do is teach that spiritual business success. And I always say, what does success look like to you? What does it feel like to you? So it sounds like you went on the road to success, but it wasn't your idea and image of success. So when you got there, it's like, what on earth is this? This is not what I actually want to experience,
Yeah.
right? So when you say that you turn things around and you decided, oh well, I'm going to get a mentor, I'm going to get some help because I've got this inner conflict going. You mentioned that you had that inner conflict. I want to break that down a little bit for anyone that is experiencing that, who's new to an awakening. It's like, what does it literally feel like? Avoid push and pull, or your actions, your values contradict? What does that look like? And then when you hear that inner voice, because my guests throughout the day, have said, I heard it, and then it's like, well, I heard it, but it's like a feeling. So, what is that? What was that like for you?
Yeah, great question. I love that you said connecting the dots because that's my first book, connecting the dots towards
Love
your life vision. And I
it.
say, just so before I answer your question, even my life experience until then, when I felt this inner conflict, I am
Mhm.
grateful for that experience because I realized I'm very strong in leadership.
Yeah.
And if I didn't was not put in those environments or that environment where I could figure that out, I wouldn't know that that's one of my gifts. So I
Mhm.
think nothing in life is wasted. Is kind of what I learned and how I see my experience and journey today.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever wasted. Even those experiences that might not be aligned with us at the time, are serving us somehow, somewhere for that or level of awareness, level, stage, and phase of journey that we're in.
I love
So,
it.
that's one thing that I've learned along the way. But more specifically, it was what it felt like. It was as if I was a fake. I was no longer aligned with, people in my life, the environment I was working for, I guess a lot of the topics, the things people were talking about. I just felt like, wait, I'm no longer like clinging,
Interesting.
clinging with these types of, I guess, relationships or even topics. And I
Mhm.
think the more I started exploring this area, the more I started to feel that separation between the life I was leading,
Yeah.
into that journey that I was kind of going through.
Wow.
So it felt like that. It felt like a detachment almost, like I was
Mhm.
almost like detaching from my old beliefs, relationships, environments, all of that I was being part of for so long,
Yeah.
going into something new. And I mean, I had my ups and downs emotionally. It did feel exciting at times. It felt like newfound energy at times. And sometimes it felt very scary, unsafe, as
Mhm.
if like, where am I going? I don't know what's going to be on the other side. And I think that stemmed a lot of the anxiety. But yeah, I would definitely think it was more in the feelings. And
Mhm.
also that every time I would stay quiet, on my own, he would start to come back to me, that inner voice, that little voice. And it was almost very positive because, we never beat me up or anything. It just said that you're meant for something greater and keep looking for that thing that you're looking for. And it's okay, you're safe. I'm not sure, obviously, if I was doing a lot of affirmation and all of that because I was exposed to this work. But
Mhm.
either way, that's kind of what it was telling me. So I heard it in whispers, and I also, there was a lot of feeling of detachment almost of an
Yeah.
experience that I felt.
I love that. Thank you. So the reason why I ask you to unpack it for those who are new or those who want that confirmation and that experience, and do feel free to share your experiences. And so you've said that you had that intuition and that guidance and that voice and that, like, that confirmation that you were on that right track. So although it felt so different and the unknown, but you were still having that keep going, even though it's something that you don't know what is on that other side. That's still that confirmation. I think that's really common to get that confirmation. Hopefully it is for everyone. I did as well. And so putting together your life. So on the Soul Legacy TV, I talk about when I went through an awakening, and it was through every single area of my life, from contribution, which it sounds like for you too, building a different career, from your health, from your emotions, through your environment. You talked about, different work environments, through relationships, through spirituality, and through finances. Were there any other areas that really you pivoted and just changed the trajectory of your life? You talked about relationships and how they didn't feel the same, and the relationship with yourself, I'm guessing, because that's what happened for me. That I'm like, I don't know who I am and where I fit anymore. So was there any other areas that were affected?
I think you just recap that I turned inward, right? I worked on figuring out what I wanted, what were the mindset blocks, what were all the things that were unraveling, why was I blocking myself or sabotaging myself from success? Because honestly, everyone talks about fear of failure. I guess I built myself up enough that I'm kind of very curious either way, like just like I said as a child. So that never really bothered me because I'm like, oh, I'll just learn something. I like that aspect of things.
Yeah.
My fear was the fear of success because
Oh,
that was attached to a lot of my upbringing, where I was praised as a high achiever from my parents, especially my dad. So that brought a lot of uncertainty and insecurity that if I am successful in the things that I'm doing, then I might lose those close relationships that are important to me because the only value I have is if I achieve, right?
yeah,
I don't know if people love me for who I actually am. So there
yeah,
was a lot of that unraveling. So I guess it was a lot of me and my relationship with myself.
yeah.
And once I kind of did a lot of the inner work, or I guess started exploring that inner work, I started seeing a lot of improvement with my personal relationship, my marriage, my parenting, because I had a lot of this stuff show up in my closest relationships with my husband, my kids,
Yeah.
a lot of that and beyond. So, yeah, I would say that that's how I went in, kind of did a lot of the inner work, and somehow a lot of what I was doing was reflecting on the outside.
I
Um,
love
yeah.
I love that, and I love that you mentioned before, which I wanted to pick up, as you said that, no matter what you went through, that you express gratitude for that, and you know that those were those stepping stones and those seeds and that right path to get you to where you are, and that's so, so important. And sometimes we just don't feel like it along the way. When we're in the midst of it, it's like, oh, holy moly, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and it's a struggle, and it's hard. It's not always easy. So I love that you do share that part of your journey. Can I ask you, Elona, what tools did you use as we talk about your awakening? And we took and I ask each guest, like, what spiritual ascension tools that helped you? Was you went inward? Did you use any tools, any rituals, any practices to help you raise your vibration, help you elevate, and help you come out the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started implementing physical exercise, and I realized that I love going to the gym and doing weightlifting. So I
Oh,
started exploring that habit, and I've kept that habit until today. I started meditating with guided meditations first because I wasn't even sure how to do it. Um, so I needed the guidance for sure, and even now, sometimes I love those better than just me sitting there because then I don't know, there's something about someone else guiding you. It's like you're present with someone and, accountability, just like
yeah,
anything. We just sometimes we need someone to be like, take us on that journey. So
yeah,
meditation was the second one. And then I started journaling, right? All these things obviously did not all happen at the same time. In the beginning, this was a lot of resistance because these were not habits I was doing before. And, there was many times where I'm like, what is this? Is this going to even help me? Like, what am I,
yeah.
you know? But I stuck with that, right? So I guess the drive inside of me, just kept me going with these habits. But that's the third, and then the fourth one, I just started finding people like me that were going through similar things, finding communities. Even though I wasn't finding a lot of those locally, I just virtually started connecting with people that I admired and were maybe even further along in the journey that I kind of intuitively saw myself in. But I would say those four main things that I still continue to do today.
I love that. Yeah, the meditating. I'm like, yeah, give me some guidance, give me some breath work to do. But I love that, and even finding the people, so you know that actually when you're not resonating, and for me, it was at the time, like, relationships that go way, way, way back that I, pulled in and are close again now. But at the time, I just felt that detachment, and it wasn't about the relationship. It wasn't about the other people. It was about me. Like you said, you went internally, and it just like, I'm not vibe. I'm just learning, and I've got other things on my mind and other interests. But then when you do find your soul tribe and you do find people that are aligned, like when we found each other, it's like, oh, okay. It's like you
It's as
just
if we've known each other for a long time. And it's the first time I'm speaking to you. It's
I was
crazy. Energy, yeah.
yeah, I was going to say that, the way that this works, this is actually the first ever conversation that we have had, apart from a couple of G, and it was very minimal. DMs. It's like, oh, actually, are you free? And you're like, yes. And I'm like, thank you so much. It's just, I feel so aligned with you coming on. It's like, okay, well, there's a spot. And I did that again with another guest last month in October. And I go, actually, are you free? And she said, that spot. It just is so beautiful to hear that when you find those. So I'm in the UK. I don't know how the UK works, but people tend to go like towards the States for that, like you said, the development and the mentors and stuff. And there is some stuff in the UK, but primarily the people that I were learning from and the people that I were connecting with, they're just global, just all over the world, mostly everywhere but here, right? In my life. So thank goodness for the online space. And I was saying today as well as the summit unfolded, I came online, I came on YouTube and I was searching spiritual awakening story after spiritual awakening story and, this development and this guided meditation. And so I'm really grateful for the online space and the way that we take what we learn and we alchemize it and we give back. So in terms of the gifts that you and the practices and the rituals and routines, like you said, you use that, and I use journaling. How do you support your clients, your students today? With how has that impacted what you do, going through what you've gone through, feeling that inner conflict, feeling like the relationships, getting into entrepreneurship? What do you feel called to do with your books? You can share your book, share what you actually do as practices that with your clients, that actually the thread and the seed started throughout your spiritual awakening.
I love your question because that I mentioned the first gift I realize I have is leadership, and then the second one I realize is business acumen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I marry that with the spiritual side of things. I always talk about this holistic approach to building a business, even though we still, understand business in the very traditional terms of branding, marketing, sales systems, and team. But what I teach my clients is the whole space and kind of lean in their intuitive gifts, because that is their best competitive edge, right? How to utilize that in their branding, how to put that in their messaging, how to create their offers, their business models that align with them. Because who's to say that you're supposed to do this or that, right? To each his own. As long as you understand some of the fundamentals of growing a company, then you can put in your own genius in there. You can hire, delegate, all these beautiful things that happen with leadership as we align ourselves, as we become more conscious leaders, and we align ourselves with the right people around us. And then based on my personal experience, I went ahead and got certified, EMDR, NLP, and all these different techniques that I've utilized for myself during the years. And I also bring them now as tools for my clients when, of course, I see that trauma might be holding them back or mindset blocks might be holding them back from the implementation of some of the things that they need to do to grow those foundations for their company. So I love the beautiful integration that I bring between this strong business acumen and a lot of the mindset, soul tools, spiritual alignment tools that I've gathered over the years, so that I can, of course, help them get even bigger transformations. And most importantly, build a business that means something to them, do important work that means something to them, align that vision, mission, values with the vocation that they feel called to really have out there in the world. But yeah, it's like a beautiful complementation. And that's why I say that everything that happened to me is beautiful, because now I have the awareness and I can help people that might, be overcoming and coming across those same things. Like a lot of my clients are ambitious like me, obviously, like attracts like, so they want to learn and grow, and their biggest fear is, fear of success. How do I manage it? How do I handle it? So teaching them how to align their personal growth with their company growth is something that I've seen amazing results, because now the success is not like the $1 million company, bring your laptop to the beach, make $1 million sleeping, like all these things that are not even real in the everyday, life of an entrepreneur or a company CEO or founder. So aligning both of those so that they, you know, build those habits in their company and create a really healthy environment for even more people to join them, whether it's their clients or their teams or whatever else. It's just like a home. I look at the company just like a home. you bring in the right people in there, your culture is healthy, you will always thrive.
I
So
I love that. Thank you so much for doing the work in the world that you do, and moving through all of those challenges, all of those obstacles, and all of that, potential for judgment from others around you, even whether it's not meant to be in a negative way, but it's still that that fear of success, and it's like I want to have it all. I want to feel successful, and I want to still have the relationships that are important to me. And again, I talk about spiritual business success, and that's exactly it. It's like, what does success mean to you, and implementing that. And when we do have that fear of success, our subconscious will go all out to sabotage that journey. So thank goodness that you do bring all of those tools and all of those resources and all of that knowledge to the table for your clients and for those who learn from you. So, it's absolutely amazing. I do take my hat off to you, because I think sometimes we take it for granted that we've come so far, especially when you're fearing success, but you're super ambitious. And then you look back and you go, wow, you've come so far. And I absolutely love that. And that transformation in the business, it's like you said, when people say, let's do this to your business, let's have I don't know, all of the promises and you don't have to do any work and you'll be there in about 2 minutes flat. It's work. It is work, and it is your own transformation, that inner transformation along the way, to get you to that level of success. Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about your work and what you do and why you do it and how that's been influenced about your journey. You shared a little bit about that, but I hadn't seen that one, but I did see the one that's coming out. Can you share your titles? I love authorship. So the titles of your books, why you've written them at the stage that you've written them, just like a journey of your authorship journey. That would be amazing. Just writing your story and sharing that and birthing that in the world.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's how that journey started for me with book writing. Again, I never thought that that would be something that I do. But once I wrote my first one, Connecting the Dots Backwards, it was more like a memoir, but I wanted to also document some of the learnings that I had learned along my journey to how to clarify your life vision and how to clarify your purpose. So that's the main gist of the first book that I wrote. And then the second one, which is called Purpose Driven Entrepreneurship, I pretty much broke down my framework from what I just talked about: inner alignment, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team. So it's almost like the guide for an entrepreneur if they want to build a company from its foundations, brick by brick. So it's steady and strong and healthy, and it can last the legacy, and they can build it as big as they would like. So that's my second one. And now, right now, I just actually finished my manuscript for my third one, which is going to be Purpose Driven Visionary Leadership. And in there, I'm going to talk about some of the pillars that a strong conscious leader needs to know for them to continue the legacy and grow a company beyond themselves, whether, again, they want to invest in other companies or if they want to grow their current company, whatever their vocation, whatever their calling and all that. What does it actually take for you to be a conscious leader, and how do we operate and grow a purpose-driven company, which is different from a profit-driven company, which is what we've seen traditionally in the business world. So that is what I'm doing for my latest one, which is launching in January.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So grab Elona's books. I'm going to ask, I'm going to respect your time. I'm going to ask where our audience can find you. Before I do that, each of my guests is contributing a gift to our giveaway. Is there something that you would love for our audience to have from you in the Spiritual Alchemy giveaway?
Yeah, I have just the amazing aligned gift for your audience. I've put together a free ebook with 50 of the most purposeful, intentional questions that someone needs to ask themselves. So they go 5 depth why underneath their why, so they can, really bring that genius out to the world. So that's on my website under elonaloparicoaching.com, and they can grab that free PDF copy of the ebook on there. And also they'll find, my books on there as well.
Ah, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Guys, get the gifts. Reach out to Lona as well. Buy the books. I will have a look if they're on Amazon. Are they on Amazon?
They are on Amazon, yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I've really enjoyed our conversation. Again, I want to really respect your time. Sharing your spiritual awakening has given me that insight and that confirmation, and diving deep into the journey. And for any of you who have your own spiritual awakening story to share, we do have the Spiritual Ascension after show party where you can get involved and take this conversation off the social media. And again, get Ilona's gift. And just really sit with wherever you are is wherever you are and wherever you need to be. And hopefully this conversation will have supported you on your journey in the spiritual awakening and your YouTube summit. And again, and welcome. We're gonna wrap up this episode, but what you can do is share it out, go back to the beginning, have a listen at the Soul Legacy TV Spiritual Business Success with Iona. I will repurpose this into a podcast. This show does happen on the 2 middle Wednesdays of the month. I call them binge watch Wednesdays. So yeah, come back and enjoy more spiritual awakening stories from our guests. Ilona, I want to hand the floor over to you. Have you got anything to add before we do wrap up this episode?
Yeah, no, I want to thank you for putting such an amazing space and an audience together and talking about these topics because at one point these were called woo woo, but now we understand the science is backing these up. And this is actually science based information that we're learning as humanity as we learn and grow and evolve. So kudos to you for all the amazing work that you're doing. And just a final message for the audience that always keep seeking, be the seeker, be the curious person. And I always say that if something is attracting you or admiring you, that it's connected to your inner gifts, it's connected to your unique purpose. So just pay attention. It's not, nothing happens by chance, everything is purposeful, aligned in our journey. And the more we raise our consciousness and awareness, the more we start to see the dots so we can connect them. And that's how we are unstoppable. Whatever you want to create in your life is right then and there inside of you. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I second that. All of that is absolutely beautiful. Okay, thank you. And guys, we'll see you next time for another episode of the Spiritual Awakening and your YouTube Summit. Take care. Bye, guys.